Hello! Today I'm going to be sharing my birth story for my second child. I had quite an up and down pregnancy, quite a bit of bleeding here and there, a few scares along the way. I have already recorded a video about my bleeding in pregnancy, so if you're interested in that side of things, please go and watch that. So I went to my 38-week midwife appointment, which I think was the day before I was 38 weeks. I just finished work, so I finished work on the Thursday and my appointment was on the Friday, and the whole week or two before I felt very heavy down there. It was getting heavier and heavier, and I said to the guys at work, this baby's going to come very soon. I just sensed it. There was a lot of pressure. So I went to my midwife appointment and she had a feel, and she said he feels very low now, and because it's your second pregnancy he probably won't hang around too long. So, you know, not panic, because obviously I did want the baby to come earlier. So this was the 8th of December and he was due on the 23rd, so 2 weeks early. Lou's mum was due to come down on the 21st of December to look after our daughter Emmy. She was hoping we would hang on that long, but we both wanted the baby to come earlier than that, obviously, because of Christmas. And so I texted her and told her this, and she was a bit disappointed, I think, but I did say I'd try and cross my legs. But anyway, I got home, you know, again, a lot of pressure. I was bouncing on my ball that night and put my daughter to bed, sat down on the sofa, got a nice tub of ice cream, the whole tub, because you can do that at this stage of pregnancy. Got one of those nice bump masks, put that on. It was really cold. I remember it being really cold and the baby moved quite a bit. I don't know if that's because it was cold or because I was sort of tensing. And I texted my sister and said, it's so cold. And she said, be careful, you're going to shock the baby out. Joking. Within 5 minutes, my waters broke. You know, I'm going to blame the mask. So if anyone else wants the baby out, put a bump mask on. So I just sat there and sort of went, oh, because quite a bit of water came out. And I obviously said to my partner, oh, I think my waters have broke. Stood up, loads more came out. Thankfully, not as it does in the films. My waters didn't break with my first pregnancy, so I had no idea what it would be like. So I was just wet. It didn't go all over the floor. I went and sat on the toilet, and I was on the toilet for about an hour with just constant water flowing. I had no idea how much water would come out of me. It's so much. Where did that all go when I was in labour with my daughter? I do not know, because I was there for a long time. And even after that, it kept coming and coming, all leading up to the actual pushing. So Lou rang the triage line because we weren't really sure what to do. The waters were clear, and I know that means it's safe and it's fine. And this was about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and they said, yes, just come in and we'll check you over. So in the car, I remember sitting on one of the mat things in the car. I don't think much actually came out in the car from what I can remember, or walking up to the maternity ward. But yeah, so we got there. A nice midwife called Catherine met with us, and she was sort of asking me how I felt and did I have any contractions, which I think at this stage I just sort of felt like period aches. I wouldn't say I was having contractions. I think we got there about 10, half 10. So they said, let's just see how things go. You can stay in this room for a few hours if you like. So I had a pad in to sort of monitor, you know, how much I was having and blood and things like that. And every time I got up to sort of go for a wee or have a walk, more kept coming out. And I would say each time a little bit came out, things slowly ramped up just a little bit. We stayed in that room, yeah, I think it got to perhaps 1 o'clock, half 1. She'd come in a few times to check on me and see how I was. All I can say is I felt so scared, and the reason for this is I was convinced I was going to die. I think because I'd had quite a rocky pregnancy, and I think when you've already got a child at home, there's always that thought in the back of your head that you're going to die and leave them without a mum. And for a good few hours I was nervous about this, worrying about it. And then I told Lou I felt like that and had a good cry. And as soon as I'd got that out, I felt much better. So I guess it's normal to feel that way, but I was bricking it. And also I was probably scared because I sort of knew what was coming, whereas the first time I wasn't really sure. I think with my first labour I was probably about 3 centimetres and I thought, this is it now, I must be nearly there. Little did I know. Yes, I'd been doing hypnobirthing breathing because that really helped me with my first labour, just to keep me calm. And that did make me feel lots better as well. So got to about 1, half 1, Catherine came back in and said, look, we need this room now because we've got somebody coming in. So you can either choose to go home, or there's a room downstairs in the triage day centre that you can use because there's nobody there right now, and see how things go. And if you get to the morning and you've not progressed, then you'll have to go home. So we very nearly went home at this point. We weren't really obviously sure how long things would be. My sister was here with my daughter. We hadn't really eaten properly. Yeah, we just sort of thought if we go home it might be easier if I can relax at home. We live about half an hour from the hospital on a good run. If you're travelling that distance during sort of rush hour, you're in trouble if you're in labour, I would say. So thankfully, at the last minute, we changed our minds and we went downstairs. So Lou said, I'm going to go and get the suitcase from the car just in case. So off he went. I was all right at this stage. I think I was probably having mild contractions, maybe, very mild, but at the point where I wasn't really 100% sure if that is what it was, or if it was just aches still from the waters breaking. Probably about 2 o'clock-ish, I would say, 2:30. Lou was on the bed because it made me feel so uncomfortable to lie down, which is exactly the same as I was the first time round. He laid on the bed. I was sat on this half comfortable chair, I would say. All the lights were off because I did not want lights on. Again, same the first time round. I said to him, you may as well try and get some sleep because we don't know what, last time it was 2 days I was in labour for. We weren't sure how long it was going to be. My midwife had said to me, normally after your first labour, you sort of cut out the slow bit and you just go, once you're in labour, you just sort of go quickly to the sort of fully dilated stage. I was hoping for the best. So he went to sleep for a bit. I think he was probably asleep for an hour and a half. And by the time he woke up, I was mooing like a cow. Things had progressed. I could tell things had progressed quite quickly. I was able to doze in between the contractions, but the pain had certainly ramped up at this stage. So after that, I remember going to the toilet a few times. I made Luke come with me every single time. Each time I went, again, more waters came, blood as well now. So my bloody show ramped up each time. And Lou had to come because I literally had to squeeze his hand. I think we probably got to about 5, and one of the midwives down there came in and said, I think we probably need to check you now because I can hear that things have progressed. She said they could hear me in the room next door where they were all sat. So they obviously knew I was getting along a bit. So she checked me and I was 5 centimetres. Which again, at this stage, you really hope they say wow, you're 9 centimetres. But do you feel like you've got a long way to go still? Especially because with my first labour, it took me about a day and a half to get to 6 centimetres. So, sort of started to compare it a little bit, but I didn't need to worry. So they called upstairs, and my plan all along had been to go into the birth centre where I could go in the pool. So they called them. One of the midwives came down. I think her name was Grace. She came to get me, and for some reason at this last stage, I suddenly wanted to go into the maternity ward and be on a bed and strapped on. And I'm very grateful for this midwife because she said, no, let's not do that. Your original plan was the birth centre. Let's just try that. And if you want to change your mind when you're up there, you can. I was like, okay, yeah, okay. Very, very grateful to her. So the midwives downstairs said, do you want me to get you a wheelchair? Grace pipes up, no, she can walk. I know it's better for me because it'll get the labour going, but at the time you just probably do want to sit down. So at this point, somewhere along the way, I'd started to eat a banana downstairs and decided I didn't want it. Lou said to me just as we were about to go upstairs, do you want this banana keeping? And I said yes. So he's balanced it on top of the suitcase. As we're going upstairs, every time I've had a contraction on that walk, I've leant over the suitcase. So all I can smell is this banana, which is making me feel violently sick, which at the time, it's Lou's fault because everything is their fault when you're in this much pain. So that was making me annoyed. I'm trying to do my breathing still, because I don't need pain relief. Still trying to do my breathing. Obviously, once the pain ramps up, it's quite difficult to breathe through a contraction. So Lou's like, don't forget to do your breathing. And I was like, I fucking can't do my fucking breathing. He didn't offer any words of encouragement after that, surprisingly. So eventually we got upstairs. There was a lift, I will point out, so I didn't have to walk any stairs, which I'm glad about. We ended up going into the same room that I started my labour in with my first baby, which I have got a birth story on here with that if you want to go and watch that. So I was really pleased about that because it felt like a very familiar space because I was in there for quite a long time. So she did a quick check on the, if anyone's not familiar, if you're in the like birth centre, you're not strapped into like a contraction belt or anything, they just listen to the baby with a Doppler. So she checked the baby was fine throughout, stripped off, don't care about a bikini, got in the pool. It was lovely. Really recommend it to anybody. Really nice and warm, instantly relaxed me. She asked me if I wanted any gas and air, which I'd said yes. However, when I was in labour with my first child, it was like a nozzle that you sucked on. And I didn't really like it then, but now they've changed it. I'm not sure if it's across the country, but certainly where I am, it's like a mask that covers like this. So apparently it's because the midwives, they did like a study and the midwives were like able to breathe in the gas. So they've now covered the face, which made me feel so sick because I'm guessing you're just getting so much more. I think I was probably on the gas and air for about half an hour, but it made me feel so ill. I just said, take this away from me. Didn't want it in the end. I'm not even sure if it was really helping, to be honest, but the pool did. And I started off in the pool on my back, and then the midwife told me to turn around and get on my knees, which I did not want to do. Wasn't keen on the idea, but as soon as I flipped over, it felt better, much better. And I think I was probably in that position for maybe, I don't know, half an hour-ish. Maybe more than that. I think I got in the pool about 5:30-ish, 5:45. And yeah, probably half an hour on my knees. And then she told me to get on my back, because obviously she could tell things were progressing. Again, I didn't want to, because I felt comfortable on my knees. As soon as I moved, better, much better. When I first met this midwife, I thought, we aren't going to get on. Because she was very bossy. She didn't seem particularly like caring, but actually she ended up being the best thing that could happen to me because she just knew exactly what to do. She got me to the birth centre, she got me in the right positions, she was very good, I really liked her. And yes, I got on my back. I kept feeling like I needed to push at this stage, and I told her this, and she said, well, just listen to your body then and push. And I got nervous about this because I'd had a conversation with my community midwife the day before about, because that's what they said to me during my first labour. I kept feeling like I needed to push, but I was only 6 centimetres, so they were telling me not to. But then I moved to the labour ward and she said, well, just push if you need to push, and then out came the baby. But she said, oh, I'd be a bit unsure about telling somebody to do that because it could cause damage to your cervix if you're not quite dilated enough. So I'm a bit worried because obviously they'd only checked me an hour ago and I was 5 centimetres, but just goes to show how quickly things do ramp up with the second labour. So I think I was probably pushing for about, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, and I started to feel the head coming, which, do you know what, with my first labour, I don't remember it very well because I was so tired, I was so high, and this time around I was very much present. I remember the pain, well, I don't now so much, but I remembered at the time feeling it. I remember feeling the head come down. At one point she made me feel down there and I could feel his hair, which was the weirdest thing in the world. So weird. Also don't remember this with my first labour, but you feel like you push in and you feel like you've pushed so much for a good couple of minutes, and then as soon as you stop you sort of feel it go back up and you just feel like you've wasted energy. Obviously things are progressing and it is slowly making its way down each time, but you just feel like you've made so much progress, and then you stop and it's gone back again. So I reckon I was probably pushing for about 45 minutes to an hour, and then I could really feel the head now, and she said like a couple more and it'll be out. And it was. The head came out, and once the head's out it is a lot of relief, and I could feel his head sort of moving around like this, and it was the weirdest thing in the world. Obviously lovely because I know he's like okay, but it still felt very strange. And then yeah, she said a couple more pushes and he'll be here. So once I hear that, I'm like, right, let's get this over with. And then, yeah, a couple more, out he came. He was there, I could see him, and she was saying, grab him then, reach down and grab him. For some reason it freaked me out, I'm not sure why. I don't know if I was just so nervous of what happened and that I'd just had another baby. So in the end, she ended up reaching down to grab him. And she had said to me, just be mindful that because he's been born in the water, they do sort of take a little bit longer to cry or make a noise. So she put him on me, and yes, because he didn't immediately cry, I did actually say, is he okay? And she was like, yes, it's okay, remember I just said he'll take a bit longer. And, you know, minute, if that, probably felt like a minute, but it's probably more like 20 seconds. He started to cry a little bit and move, and there he was. And suddenly the pain is just gone, and it is the greatest feeling in the entire world. So we stayed in the pool for a while. So they laid him on me here and had towels over him. And I don't know how long we were in the pool for, but I remember it started to get a bit cold in there. So I said, look, a bit nippy in here now, can we try and get out? I still had my placenta in at this point, so it was quite difficult to try and navigate getting out of the pool with the baby, because obviously he's still attached to me, and waddle out of the bath and onto the bed. But I managed it. So got onto the bed. So I had a doctor consultation, you know, 3 months ago or something like that. And with my first labour, I had 3rd-degree tears, so I had to have stitches. And when she was doing the surgery, she said I still had quite a lot of the placenta inside of me, so she had to get it all out. Which that was a big worry of mine, because my sister also, with one of her births, ended up having the placenta come out while she was at home a few days later, like a lot of it, and she didn't know what it was. And they meant to check, but obviously they didn't, and that just really scared me because it can be quite dangerous. So I'd said that to the doctor, and she said if you're nervous, I'd have the injections, have your placenta come out rather than wait for it naturally, because I did it naturally with my first. So I had that, and I don't think it was long until I felt like it needed to come out. So I don't fully remember it, but I remember it didn't feel very nice, and it was really uncomfortable, which, considering I just pushed a baby out, I would have thought this bit was easy, but I guess you're quite tender down there after pushing out a baby, so I was glad once that was out. Daddy cut the cord, which was nice, because especially with the first one, he wasn't sure he was going to do it because he's a bit squeamish, but he did, and he did it again. And I think she also then checked me around a bit to see if I had tears, and I think she had a feel around maybe to see if there was any placenta still inside. They did have a good check of it because I told them I was worried. It wasn't very comfortable actually having that checked, and I definitely remember squeezing the support nurse's hand quite hard. Did apologise to her. You think, you know, I've had a baby, come on, leave me alone. But obviously I know they have to do it, but I was just glad once it had all been done. Again, I don't really remember this with the first. I guess they must have done it, but yeah, then I was all done and I could go and have a shower. You lose all your dignity at this stage. Obviously I was bleeding still. I remember waddling to I had like my own little bathroom. I wasn't just walking down the corridor naked. So I was waddling to the bathroom, and the midwife was behind me with a big pad holding it under my bum so that the blood didn't go all over the floor. So yeah, I managed to have a wee at that point as well, which was okay actually. It wasn't too bad. Bit stingy. I'd say more stingy this time round than with the first. And then I managed to have a nice hot shower, which I think I was doing all right at this stage, because I'd not long had a baby. I think we'd already had our tea and toast before I'd done that, if I remember rightly. And because when I was in the shower, Lou got him all dressed, and they'd already done his obs and stuff before that, so he must have done. It's hard to remember it all in your head so much. Also, so we weren't sure what we were going to call him at this stage. We knew he was a boy. Boys' names are so hard, so we had a few names. We really liked Alfie, but we were not sure because it was my parents' cat's name. He's gone now, he's not with us anymore. But it was a bit, you know, thought, is it weird to name my child the same name as a cat? Like, I'm not naming him after the cat, it's just a name that we like. But I also liked Ollie, and a few others maybe, so we thought, well, let's just wait and see what he looks like. But because he was going to be a December baby, my nephew had said, oh, you should call him Elfie, not Alfie, because it's Christmas. So we were like, yeah, oh yeah. And then the mug that they bought out for my first cup of tea said Elfie on it, so we were like, well, that's a sign. So we went with Alfie in the end. So I think we were sort of left alone after I'd had a shower to just be with him. Lou had got him all dressed and things like that, like I said. And they said to me, feel free to have a sleep. We're not kicking you out. Do what you need to do. I didn't want to sleep. You know, you're buzzing at that point, full of adrenaline. And I just wanted to get home, to be honest. So we left about 12, I think. So he was born at 7:30 in the morning, and we left at 12. So I would say my active labour was probably only about 4 hours compared to Emmy, which was long. So you definitely do miss out. For me, certainly, the slow bit at the start. And I would say, for anyone considering a pool birth, highly recommend it. I would say that labour was like bang on, exactly what I would have asked for. Could I have asked for a specific, labour? It was quite quick. I was worried I was going to tear and didn't. I managed to have him in the pool. I was okay. He was okay. What more could you ask for? Straightforward. Out within a few hours afterwards, and we were fine when we got home as well. So everyone was lovely. All the midwives were spot on. You hear bad things, but couldn't fault any of them. They were great, really great, and perfect for me. So thank you for watching. I hope if anyone's nervous, that settles you a little bit. Like I said, I have got my other birth story on my channel if anyone's interested in watching that one. And thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.